My name is Tamar Eskenian, and in order to let you curious about what I do, I would like to suggest that you watch the little short documentary movie that I have on YouTube and on the website. And there you will have an idea about my artistic world. The rest, I would let it that you think about it, because I do not, I try not to define myself, because I develop all the time. I am creating in my inner world, and constantly it's a movement. That's why I prefer to leave this question open. As you saw in the movie, I perform on different kinds of instruments, on different kinds of woodwind instruments, the flutes. One of them is the modern flute, which is made of several different materials, for example, silver or metal or gold. And there are other kinds of flutes also, which are the historical flutes, for example, the Baroque traverso flute, which is made of boxwood or other kinds of woods. And there are also the traditional instruments that I play from my heritage. They come Armenian heritage. And I play the chevy, which is a shepherd's flute made of apricot wood. And there are lots of different kinds of flutes in Armenian culture. One of them is the belul. It is called in Armenian sering or belul, which is also from apricot wood, but I will show you later how they look like. And there is the duduk also, which is a double reed instrument with a double reed mouthpiece and the apricot wood body. But these are not the only flutes that I play. There is more, the classical also. And also when I was 15, I started to perform concerts in many different countries, and I decided to collect flutes instead of collecting souvenirs. I started to, wherever I went, which country, I bought a traditional flute from that country. And I was traveling a lot, especially when I was 17, with orchestra, different projects I was playing, Beethoven, Schubert, and classical music, of course, but also other kinds of music, modern music and Armenian music. So I went to different countries, Asia, I went to America, I went to many different places. And I collected from each place a special flute which is connected with this country. For example, the South American, I have also Korean, I have also Hungarian, Indian I have also. So one day I decided, why do I collect all these flutes? I have to play a concert with these instruments. So I started to play a concert with these instruments, and it is getting more and more exciting for me, because in this time of the century we are searching more possibilities to produce sounds and to produce expressions by using the old historical connected with the roots sounds, traditional ethnic instruments. So it is very good to have the ability to perform with the classical ones, but also the ability to be more open and to get to know to the world generally, and it becomes world music at the end, because music is something which is very divine, and it connects humans with each other, it connects people, and through different traditions we can connect with each other and arrive to another dimension in this way of communication. So here you can see the most little instruments. I brought them with me. So this in my hand is the chevy, Armenian flute, which is made of apricot wood, and it can have different characteristics, like character of the sound. It can be very shrill, like a bird, but it could be also melancholic, and it could be also mystical. And these instruments have been played by the shepherds in the mountains, and they took this instrument and they took their animals with them to eat, and while they were resting they played this instrument, and they had a very special communication way. There are different kind of melodies, which I know about it because the father of Armenian music, who was called Komitas, he was a musicologist and also ethnomusicologist actually. He was a collector of folk melodies. And also he was able to understand and read the old manuscripts which were written in Chaz notation system. I will talk about it later also, about the Chaz notation system, which is the Armenian system, which is used in the church actually. So the shepherds were playing different melodies, and the sheep understood these melodies. For example, one melody was telling them, you can rest now, there is no danger, and relax and eat. And the next melody could tell them, there is a danger, we have to all escape now. And with these kinds of melodies, humans through music were communicating with the nature. And that is why I love this instrument very much, because it makes me communicate with my roots, but also communicate with the nature. There are several kinds of instruments. There are several kinds of chevy instruments, and small ones, as you see, and then bigger ones, and it becomes lower, the sound, when you play the bigger ones. They are called tav chevy. And about the duduk, I think many people already know about it. It is very, very ancient. Also, this instrument is very ancient. From the beginning of the Armenian civilization, it has existed. And with this instrument, you can play not only Armenian music, but you can play also classical music. For example, I performed with this the Vivaldi concerto in Lucerne KKL lately. And it is possible to perform many different music, because it has another kind of fingering, how you play. It is very logical. For example, if you close the half, then it is half tone. It's quite logical. It's not like block flute, and you don't have Gabelgriff. You don't have in German. They call it Gabelgriff. So I will continue about the duduk. Many people know about it. It has a very deep sound. And people are explaining this sound as if it is the very beginning of the humanity, how it sounded. This instrument has been used also in many movies. For example, The Gladiator. If you watch this movie, there is the sound of the duduk in it. This instrument has been used in Armenia for several ceremonies, for rituals, pre-Christian rituals also, but also it has been used for weddings, funerals also, because in the ancient times for funerals they were using women who were crying, but then they decided not to do that, and instead of that they brought the duduk. And after somebody dies, they give this beautiful music of duduk as a gift to the person who leaves this planet and goes to another dimension. So the belul, which is also from the family of these instruments, it is a chromatic instrument, and it is one of the ancient instruments which is also very, very beautiful. It doesn't have a mouthpiece like the duduk or the chevy, but it is completely empty inside. And we have other instruments also, for example the zurna, the bugu. I also play the bugu, which sounds very high, like when you play from one mountainside you can hear the sound from the other mountainside, and this is used for weddings. So The rest of the instruments, because we are now in Europe, I think, the Baroque flute, they were played in the palace, and even the kings were playing this instrument. And at that time, for example, Johann Sebastian Bach composed his sonatas, and all the Baroque pieces which are written have been performed by the historical flute, which is made of boxwood. And I perform this instrument also, and I have studied in the Schola Cantorum Basiliensis. I perform with this instrument Baroque repertoire, and also the classical flute I have also, with which I play Mozart. And in the orchestra I perform with historical instruments also when I play Beethoven, and I try to always perform with the sound of the instrument which was used at that time. And there is the modern flute, which I play from the beginning of my flute career, and I don't know what else to tell about the modern flute, because many people know about it. It is the family member which is very famous right now. So it took a very long introduction now about the flute, but if there are more questions, I would like to answer. Why is it important to perform on traditional instruments beside the classical and the Baroque, of course? When I started to perform with these traditional instruments, I was not very conscious about it. It just happened because I loved doing it, because it was very natural for me. And I was hearing the melodies and performing on the traditional instruments. And afterwards, I realized that actually these instruments are very important because they connect the person with their own roots. And the own roots are very important because when you have a tree, for example, if the roots are very deep, this tree could live longer, actually. And also for the education, I always think what you can give a child or a person whom you are teaching, or as a parent, what can you give to this person? You can give two very important things. One of them are the roots, and the other is the ability to fly. So the arms, the wings that you can give this person, so that they have the choice of having really very deep roots and then the ability to fly. So for me, they are the roots, the traditional instruments, and the music is for me the ability to fly. And I would love that any person would be able to have this, because then they will be connected more with themselves and also connected with the divine. I have a sculpture here that I made it. It happened also unconsciously, maybe in my subconscious. This is a symbol of a human who is more than a human. And for me, this more than human has hands on the head, which symbolizes the ability to receive from the divine. And it is like an antenna to receive from divine. I don't know how you call it God. I call it God. And through this mediality, this person is singing also, has the ability to sing. It means that you receive, but you also give. So when you receive, you also give. You become a medium. And this channel needs to be very powerful and needs to be also pure. And for the purity, I use the symbolic of a bird, because a bird is free and is also pure. And usually the symbolic of the bird is used in many spiritual writings, in many prayers. For example, the prayer of Krikor Naregazzi from the 9th century. He wrote several melodies about the ascension of the Christ, and with this melody he called Havik. Havik is a bird. And through this melody is explaining the light of of the soul and the light of the divine soul, and is explaining about the ascension also. And so this is kind of symbolic, because when I was 13, I decided to become a musician, and I decided to become a flute player. And my decision was based on receiving from the divine and giving to the humanity something pure and good. And this is the way of connection, connecting two dimensions or many dimensions with each other. The human dimension, which is made of material, and this is also made of material, and the spiritual, and the soul, the mind, and the body, they are all connected with each other. And yesterday I was also explaining one of my students about growth, how growth happens. Sometimes when we are young, we focus too much on the body, on the muscles, and training, and also because music is about training also, discipline, training, but not only the body training, but also the spiritual training, because we are developing all the time, we are growing, and therefore I would always encourage people not to be scared and to have the courage to work on themselves spiritually also. Since I was a child or a teenager, I have had the possibility to perform in many places. For example, in wonderful acoustic places, the Teatro Colón, for example, it was beautiful to perform there. But also in very small rooms, salon music, but also in churches, which have a beautiful acoustic, but also a beautiful atmosphere. And after a while that I have this experience of performing in many good acoustic places, I have decided to be able to perform anywhere, actually. And people ask me, where is your ideal place to perform? And my decision is to be able to perform wherever music can be performed. And for me it's also very important to perform in the nature, because this is also a good connection, because these instruments, they all come from the nature. And when I was writing a book for children, I wrote in it that in the ancient times, the philosophers, for example, they were going out in the nature and doing the lessons outside, not only in closed rooms. These all came later. Of course, for example, if you look at it in the historical Baroque times, we were learning in the academy also that people didn't have very big concert halls. That's why the instruments were not having the same volume as now. During time, the population started to get bigger, maybe, I don't know, and then people started to get more bigger concert halls, and they needed to have and build other instruments, like the modern instruments, which can resonate or go more further. The sound can go more further. But what I experienced from the ancient instruments, these instruments, because they were made for performing outside, they go very far, the acoustically, and also they could be very loud also. So sometimes people were playing on one mountain, and from the other mountain somebody else listened. Also, when we listen to Swiss music, there are many different kind of folkloric music which were being sang from one mountain, and from the other mountain other people were hearing this. Some days ago I was performing with one choir, and they were singing a very beautiful folkloric music. It is about two people who are in love with each other, but they live in different sides of the mountains. That's why I love very much to look always back and to research and to see in the ancient melodies what were the meanings, what were people saying. For example, Komitas, Father Komidas, whose name was Solomon Soromonian. By the way, he is from my family, our family, from my mother's side. And he researched a lot and wrote these melodies. And whenever I perform or start to research and I start to look at the melodies and also the words, I become more connected to being this human side, you know, this natural, the authentic. And I'm sure also in Europe, for example, Switzerland has also very old melodies. And I would also like to tell, they play here, we are in Basel right now, and here people perform with Fastnacht piccolo. And this piccolo is actually very ancient also. It is one of the, if you look at it, it is made very similar like the classical flute. And it can show that it is also very important to keep these traditions alive, not only in concert halls. They play on the street actually. And it's very interesting because to keep these traditions alive, it could stay, people could stay more lively. I was studying also in the academy how they were performing operas in the ancient times, in Baroque times, and we were analyzing one picture in the class where there was an opera being performed and the people were singing together, just like in the modern times, like in the pop music. So why don't we continue to keep these traditions alive and to bring music everywhere, not only to the elite, but also everywhere, because everybody has the right to have good music, I think. And also music in times of crisis, like the last years of our lives, have been a big transformation time for all the humanity. And at that moment I was thinking exactly on this time of our century, artists are very important, because artists are the one who try to connect humans with themselves and try to give them the peace who the people need inside them. And therefore it is very important to also support artists, so that because the artists are very sensitive people, and for them a crisis time, it is very, very strong. They can feel this crisis very strongly, but they could be the face of a civilization, actually, the beginning, like the they are in the society, but they speak up. They are people who speak up, and it is important that humanity leaves these people to speak up the truth, and the truth is very important. Social media, a very interesting theme, because it became very popular in this time. Actually, social media is not something very late. In my generation, it started already. And at that time, people were asking me already, what do you think about using the internet too much? Or what do you think? And I remember still, because I had one interview and they asked me about this question, and I answered them. There are many people, they use it for something that I don't know, but I prefer to use it for doing something good, for doing arts, for doing communication. At that time, for example, email was very important for me, and through email I could connect with competitions at that time, music competitions. But people are, they have this duality in them. They could use anything for good or for bad. So I prefer that people use it. But as an artist, I would like to tell something also what my teacher told me. Many, many years ago, I had many different teachers. I will talk about them later. But Irena Grafenauer, a legendary flute player, she told me at that time something very important. She said, Tamar, you need to be very good in your what you are doing, so that people find you. And instead of you find the people, they need to find you. So this gave me the feeling that I need to always work on myself, all the time work on myself, and the things will just happen. Whenever the time comes, the people who are going to contact me, they will contact me. And it happened actually like this because I focused on myself more. Nowadays, it is very difficult, especially for the younger generation, because they could be on the edge of losing themselves if they try to put themselves too much. Therefore, I would like to say the same what my teacher told me, but also not to lose the opportunity, because this is also a very good opportunity that people could see you. And if you have a message, you need to tell your message through this social media also. It's a possibility, I think. About the classical music, people since many years in Europe, they were telling that at the concerts only old people are coming. And people were scared that there will be no public in the future, but I actually believe differently, because classical music, it has the intellectuality also, and it has to do also with the sensitivity and also the very fine expression it has. And people, when they are young, there are of course people who are young and they love to listen to classical music because maybe from inside they are quite mature. But when people grow older, they start to get closer to this fine sensitivity, and therefore more older people are going to the concert, I think. Classical music, actually, it is one of the bases of the culture which needs to keep going. It has a lot of value in it, which needs to be kept also. What is changing actually right now is how musicians and the public is going to experience this communication with each other. There was a time where the musicians wanted to focus only on the sound, and it is very beautiful, this. And nowadays they are changing, and they are also putting inside the visual part also. And I think art generally, it has a kind of transformation also, because in the old times they were always cutting from each other. This is music, this is design, this is dance, and nowadays they are mixing with each other. Also with science they are mixing, also with many different kinds of expression. But also this is a good thing, I think. It's not a bad thing, because in times of transformation, because the humanity is transforming, no? We are starting to get into another dimension. Everybody's speaking about this right now. We need to grow, we need to develop, we need to get inspired, we need to meet many people from around the world. And it's not the same. We have now our travel is different. For example, we have airplanes, and you know, it will not be only airplanes in the future. We are going to time travel also, and it's not so far away, this time travel idea. Actually, when I was a child, I was watching it during science fiction movies, but people are getting more open also to this multidimensional way of living. At the same time, we are becoming in many places, and that is very interesting, and that's why it affects art also, and music. It affects definitely, and we will see how it will develop. I'm looking forward for this positive development, Because I think creativity in all its forms, it is very important. As soon as we stop creativity, then we start to receive fear. And fear is against creativity. We need to keep creating, but creating for humanity and not against humanity. If you saw the documentary movie, I was telling inside that art making is about urgency, art making is about storytelling. So as a musician, as an artist, we are telling stories. And we get, for example, the script, and the script is the music scores of the composer. And sometimes, of course, the composers are the people by themselves, like in ethnic songs, in ritual songs, or songs of different cultures. The people are composers. And many composers were inspired by the people, actually. For example, if we go and look to Telemann's Fantasias, Telemann was very inspired by the Hanak people, Hanakish in German you call them, and they were a folkloric group, ethnic group of people who were dancing and making music, and he listened to these people, and when you play these fantasies, you can hear the dance atmosphere also, or the singing, or the party mood. Music is connected with language. So language and music, they have a common similarity. Every person has a different kind of construction of the mouth, actually. Once I was reading a book about, a flute player wrote this book about the construction of the mouth and how it is constructed in different cultures. Some people cannot say some vowels, for example, r or l, these vowels they cannot say. It comes from the language, from the own language. As rich language you have, for example, there are some cultures who have a lot of alphabets, and the languages that they are, like the words they are using, it's quite rich. They have several meanings of each word, for example. So storytelling, I can explain it like this to people who don't know how to read scores, music scores. So they can connect with the alphabet, with the language. And also in music there is agogic, there is articulation, and interpretation comes from these kind of things also. And also the background of this person, if this person was able to have the enough knowledge about this epoch of music. For example, the Romantic music which was composed is played and performed differently than the Baroque, or from the Renaissance, or from the Middle Ages, because people were all the time changing and they were growing. As we are growing right now, we are in another epoch. And I don't know what is called right now, the epoch. If you know, you can tell me. But it is a storytelling, and each person reads the script and tells the story, and the rest is also the emotions you were telling me. Emotions are something very human. For each epoch you use your emotions, of course, but for me the most important in all of this is when you can enter the soul of the other person through music, whatever it is. Of course, you need to be very fine and detailed, and some people perform, but it doesn't tell the story. But some people, they perform, and it goes directly to the heart or to the soul. And it is something very natural, I think. How do you say, the key to this is to be authentic and to be connected with your own self. And when you are connected with your own self, then you will be also able to invite other people to connect. And not only the humans, but also everything, the universe, and it's a creation. We create together. When we play a concert, every public is different. So with every public, we create something else together, another story. Success, since a long time I didn't hear this word actually, because for me success is how it is represented. Generally, it is an illusion for me. For me, it is more important to stay creative and to always learn, to be able to learn. That's why also unconsciously I always try to learn new musical instruments, new flutes, because they keep me alive. And it is very important to stay alive, because everything is movement, everything is changing all the time, so the concept of success will always change. People who were thinking 10 years ago they are successful, or children, for example, they thought they are successful because they have very good grades or something. It is also an illusion, I think, because it is more important to think about it more individually and to relate it to yourself and to see what is more important for you in this life, because we are coming here and of course we have different kind of missions on this planet, and for some people their mission is to earn millions of money. Of course, it would not be very bad to earn millions of money, and it could be wonderful. Then we can support more musicians, more artists, and to have more. Of course, if we use this money for good things, yeah, for artists. But for me, it is very important to keep moving, to keep learning, to stay inspired, and also to give this inspiration to other generations, because I am not the last person who will be here on this planet. There are many people coming after me, and many people went already. So I have learned from the people who left a lot, because they were going to live, and I had the chance to understand what they understood at the end of their life. And what was the most important that I learned from them was whatever you do is to love what you are doing, to be fulfilled, and to continue to be enthusiastic. And enthusiasmus, actually, it's a very interesting word. If you look at the old, how it was explained, it comes from the Greek word, enthusiasmus. It means that God is living in you. So it means the divine is living in you. And when you are enthusiastic, then you can have the courage also to continue, because the life is not very easy. But we need to stay courageous and inspired and keep creating. This is success for me. In case if you are interested, my brand new website is coming soon. It is www.tamareskenian.com. If you want more information about my upcoming concerts and what I am doing, you can follow me also on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, and also on my website. And if you would like to communicate with me, you can write me an email and let me know if you would like to work together, or I'm very happy to hear from you. Maybe I would like to give a message to my friends and to the public, especially to musicians, that music is one of the most beautiful, the most difficult, but also the most beautiful work that we do. And I would like to wish them to continue this path and try to have the courage to receive beauty and to give beauty.